What is happening, everyone? I didn't actually expect to be streaming tonight because we couldn't get the chat, no, not the chat, we couldn't get the stream working. But good to see you all here. We started a little bit later today, had to go to the gym, that's why the guns are out. But yeah, look, I appreciate everyone jumping in. We're battling through the back end of COVID. We tested negative today, finally, after a pretty horrible week. Yeah, it wasn't fun the first couple of days, but we're here. We're here with another Rate My Team stream. Let us know if that music is too loud. I can see you all are talking about Turbo, so I'll let you guys chat amongst yourselves. We've got 5 teams today to delve into a mix. I'm starting to be a little bit more selective with the teams that we're looking at, as we don't want to look at the same teams over and over and over again. So a couple of talking points today from the 5 teams that we have. But let's get straight into it with Team 1. All right, so Team 1 comes in from Sarah Evans. Now, Sarah, I know that she is quite a new member to my community. Been really interacting with a fair few of my posts, which is always good to see. And she sent her team in a while ago, sent her first draft in, and then sent a second draft in later on. Straight off the bat, obviously the Randall and Grant combination is the way to go. Cool. All right, sweet. You guys are all interacting with the chat. So, Randall Grant, straight off the bat, pretty stock standard. Each day he's getting stronger and stronger. Randall's going to play big minutes. So, round 1, he is a perfectly adequate fill-in. No Payne Haas in this side from Sarah. So, we've got AFB, we've got Stefano, and personally, I am going away from the idea of running Payne Haas. Is the upside that he's not a huge upside. He's not going to go off for 100 points. He's going to be a very, very safe 70 points a game, 75 points a game, which is cool. But what kind of upside does he possess? So I'm going away from him. I'm going with guys like AFB. I'm unsure on where to go with my second front row forward. I don't have my team to show you guys today because I'm still fiddling with it. But Stefano is a perfectly adequate second option to run here. She's also got the other option I'm going to be looking at running in the 2RF spot as well. On the bench, we have Tepai Maroa and Franklin Pele. Tepai Maroa probably locked in for a bench spot, as we all know. Pele will be fighting out with Fafita and Tolman, you would suspect, for the last middle spot on that Sharks bench. Pretty cool to see Fafita play some big minutes, but don't get too hyped up over that. He did it last year too. Played big minutes. I think he scored 50, 55 points last year in the All-Star game, and then kind of did nothing for the rest of the season, hampered by that knee, obviously coming off the throat injury that nearly ended his career. So something to really note there when it comes to Andrew Fafita. So Franklin Pele, if you're going to try and take one of the Sharks players, that's fine. Obviously, you got Max King there as well, George Burgess, if you're looking to take a bit of an upside risk with his injury, and he's a little bit more expensive as well. 2RF, David Fafita, how good was he in the All-Star game? I haven't spoken to you guys live for a while, so we've got a fair bit to unravel. But David Fafita, as an owner, it sucked to see him do so well in the All-Star game because his ownership now has skyrocketed. So not ideal, but I mean, yeah, he was dominating basically straight away. I think he had 19 runs, he made 30 tackles. Obviously had the rib injury, but the Titans have come out and said no. The NRL Physio actually made a pretty good point today on the SuperCoach Playbook podcast about how we would prefer to see Andrew Fafita not play any of these trials. And as silly as that sounds, it makes a lot of sense because we want to give him as much time as possible to get over whatever rib cartilage injury he had. We know that he suffered with it last year. It really tailed off with his production. So I'd love to see him not play any trials. Mail around Nathan Brown as well, playing a bit of not being fit for training, only coming back training last week. And Ryan Madison looks to be playing lock for the first 3 rounds, which is not ideal for me personally. I'm probably not going to be starting with Maddo if he is named to start at lock. Not ideal. But look, if he plays back right, we know he's a stud. Ewan Aitken as well. All around, absolute weapon when it comes to him playing in the back row. He'll be a 9 to 10 week play, and then we'll shift him on. With Jai Arrow, 457k available at front row forward and 2RF. So you got some good cover here if anything happens to AFB and Stefano. If any of them go down, you can basically flip Arrow up. You can move Tepe Moroa down. So good use of the jewels there from you, Sarah. Ruben Cotter, I'm not particularly keen on. I know he looked okay in the All-Star game, but I'm just getting a more and more sense that he doesn't actually start. I think Lolo plays 13, and it sucks because Cotter can just get through work, but his body is fragile. Maybe just have him come off the bench if you're Todd Payton, and then ease your way back into the season. And Brendan Piacora looked good in the Broncos trial against the winner Manly Seagulls. That's another point. We've got a lot of trials coming up this weekend. I think there's 4 straight days of trials, which will be very, very good to watch. So I'm very keen for that. Interesting point on Luke Keary. The physio also made a really good point that no one apart from Roger Tuivasa-Sheck has ever come back from an ACL and improved on their average. And I know that Keary averaged 75 in a very small sample size last year, but let's look at his historical average of about 60. Like, let's be more realistic, because 75 was a very small sample size. Even if we give him an uptick last year with the points, let's say his true average may have been 66, 67. I don't think it goes up from there. Just listening to what the physio said, obviously he's a very respected person when it comes to injury analysis. So Luke Keary, I'm getting colder and colder on, and I'm definitely don't run Keary and SJ together. One of them is cool, but both of them together is just an injury waiting to happen, and it's going to cause you big headaches come round 4, round 5 if either of them go down. Lachlan Ilya, set and forget. Obviously, halfback available there, no brainer. And then Talatau Mone, also pretty cool option at your 5'8". I'm running him as well, which is sweet. Now, your centre wings. How good did Jordan... For anyone that watched the trial, how good did Jordan Pierre look? I know it was against a second string, win a Manly side in reserve grade. Awesome, whatever. You've got to beat what's in front of you. And he looked good. He has a lot of good, strong carries, some good tackle bars, scored 2 tries. I think he scored about 70 SuperCoach points in 80 minutes, which is handy. For a guy that's 266k, let's hope he can stay on the dominant wing. You also got Isaac Targo. We've spoken about him enough. Will Penasini, we've touched on him enough. Rocco Berry is a very interesting one at 320k. We'll line up in the centres for the Warriors. Warriors have a gun start to the year as well. I'm a huge Rocco Berry fan. I tipped for him to take over the fullback jersey from RTS when he eventually left for rugby. And then obviously the emergence of Reece Walsh came in, which kind of threw things out of the whack there. But if Walsh does leave for the Dolphins next year, Rocco Berry could definitely slot into that fullback role and do a very fantastic job. So really like him for 322. I feel like he's got a lot of upside, which you probably need this year in the centre wings. You need the guys with the upside in your mid-range price brackets. The bench, Talon May, Joseph Sawali, and Paul Alamotti. Now, Talon May, we don't know if he's going to be starting over Charlie Staines. He'll be battling him out there. My personal prediction is they go with Staines, the steady hand, or not steady, but like the more experienced player for now, and then maybe look to bring May in if he performs well. Sawali, the talk is he isn't fit for round 1, so I'd be looking at Kevin Nguama personally. And then Paul Alamotti, look, we know that the Bulldogs rate him quite highly when it comes to his prospects as a junior coming through. So, yeah, don't hate that Shadow, especially if he's bottom dollar cheapy. Awesome. The fullbacks, Tedesco and Pappenhausen, set and forget. Suns out, guns out. My God. Just got back from the gym, Donny. What are the chat saying about this team? Guys, let me know about your thoughts on this team. If anyone starts asking me where to send their teams, I'm just going to mute you because I'm getting sick of reading it. Matto may be filling in at 13. Yeah, so I've touched on that. I feel like Fafita only did one good thing the rest of the game. He was asleep. I mean, he made 32 tackles, had 19 runs, had 8 tackle busts. Pretty good game overall. Don't expect him to run through lines left, right, and centre. It's just not going to happen. He played in an all-star game. Fafita was very solid. Try assist as well. Had 65 SuperCoach points in half a game. He missed 30 minutes with that rib cartilage injury. So, I mean, if Fafita's going to pump up that kind of output in 50-something minutes, I'll take that all day long, especially for his first game. B grade side, 2 Roosters players, he will be solid. Still managed roughly 79 points being, yeah, exactly. So Fafita was good. Like, he got through work, which is the biggest thing. Although he didn't have any gut-busting runs, yeah, I mean, he had that one, which was fantastic. And then a lot of solid stuff. So, I mean, they were also on the back foot a lot of the game as well. Like Nico Hines, for as well as he scored in that game, Nico Hines, I feel, and Braden Trindle failed to control that game enough. Even though they both played pretty good individually, I think that combination for the Sharks side is going to take time to gel. And Fafita didn't really benefit on that. They were going down the left a lot, so don't be too hard on Fafita. How many teams have you got in the queue to show? For today, we have 5 teams. Overall, I still have 170 emails to get through between now and Team List Tuesday. So we'll have to be a little bit more selective as to who we take. Overall, I like this side, Sarah. A couple of things I would change. I wouldn't be running Kiri and Johnson. I'd be running one or the other. But apart from that, wouldn't pick anything else apart. Move Maddo on if he is playing at lock. But for now, it's a very, very solid side. Good side. Halves need someone more reliable. I'd go Hughes. Yeah, totally. So that's the only big criticism of this side that I would make is Kiri and SJ. Probably not run them together. Run one or the other. Am I going cold on Cleary with the recent news? I mean, I was never really hot on Cleary to begin with. He's been in my side for one day in this whole period. So probably not the person to ask though. Amani says doesn't have Haas though. Yeah, I mean, I'm going cold on Haas. Is it worth having the best front row forward compared to like the best second row forward or some upside in the center wings? Like, is Haas going to really burn you? Him scoring 70 to 75 compared to like AFB who will score you 65. Is he really going to burn you? I don't think he does. So I'm going colder on Haas as the days go on. Let's look at team number 2. Chris. Randall Grant, cool. So this is the first side that we've seen with Lindsay Collins in it. Lindsay Collins' game is is ACL friendly. Let's put it that way. He's not going to be making steps, whatever. He's going to be going up and down the field. My biggest concern is how Trent Robinson uses Lindsay Collins. So I've now got a bit of an Instagram cam lined up. Let's try and find. Hopefully I didn't close my Instagram. Cool. Okay. So I did a piece on Victor Radley a little bit ago, and it was interesting to see his minutes per game was 62, but like his average pre-origin and average post-origin was like not good. Like you can see he averaged 50 points overall for the season, but came home like a wet sail with more minutes a game, like 62 minutes for the season, but nearly 72 minutes post-origin. Same injury. I just worry that Trent Robinson uses Lindsay Collins in a similar mold. You've got Jared Hargraves. You've got Siasiwa Takiaho. You've got a couple of good young boys there, obviously, like Daniel Saluka Fafita as well. So there is a lot. I mean, even someone like Nat Butcher can probably fill in for the front row for a little bit. You've got a lot of forward depth, and I do worry that Lindsay Collins falls into that lower minutes for the first 10 rounds as he's coming back from this injury, similar to how Radley did. So personally, I would give Collins a miss. I'll probably own him at some stage. I should just hope he comes down in price. Maybe try and pick him up for sub 400k if we can get him for like 380, 390, and then his minutes start to pick back up because he's a gun. Like after Origin, I think a lot of sides will own Lindsay Collins. I will be one of them. But for me personally, I'd give it a miss. Franklin Pele, Tepe Mororo on the bench, cool. Fafita, Madison, Aiken. Is that the same? It is. It's the same back line as the same back row combination as the team before, with Hylam Lukey, Ethan Bullymore, and Jack Howarth. Now, guys, I haven't spoken to you in a little bit. So we obviously had the Josh Schuster injury news. So that kind of throws things out of the water a little bit. Who gets the back row spot? Personally, I think it's Carl Lawton. Now, people can say Bullymore, but he's played one game on the edge in his whole career. So I think they go with Lawton. I mean, you've still got Davey there as well, who's a big shout, but I don't think Bullymore benefits from this Schuster injury a whole lot, to be honest. Obviously, Jack Howarth as well. Like, who knows what's going to happen with him, whether he's going to get game time. I think we need depth this year, so try and limit the amount of nuffs that you run with from round 1. And then obviously, yeah, as we can see in the 5/8, Josh Schuster's there. So this team would have been sent in pre the injury, so don't rinse him too hard there. So Schuster's injured. Move him on. You can probably save some money because he is 533k, kind of an awkward price. So shift him down, and then, or even like shift Kiri down and pick up Sexton if you wanted to go cheaper in the halves, and you got some money there. You also got Jackson Hastings, who can basically be your 5/8 number 1 if you're wanting to run a bit of a gauntlet and go a little bit cheaper there as well. So you've got Paul Momirovski. Now, Paul Momirovski is an interesting one. Is he going to play right wing? Is he going to play left centre? Does Billy Smith play left centre and Paul Momirovski play right wing? Or is it Kevin Nguama on the right wing and Paul Momirovski in the centres? Who knows? If he plays right wing and he is goal kicking, I am all over him. If he plays left centre and he's goal kicking, I'm a little bit less keen on Pomirovski personally. Selwyn Cobbo, I'm going colder on Selwyn Cobbo as the days go by because of the performance of Jordan Piera. I worry that Cobbo plays left wing. If Cobbo plays fullback, awesome. Oh, he'll be straight in my team. Selwyn Cobbo on the left wing, I'm less keen on outside of Herbie Farnworth, who does have a bit of the Stephen Crichton syndrome and doesn't like to pass it a whole lot. So, Selwyn Cobbo, I'm getting colder on as the days go by. Isaac Tago, Will Penasini, awesome. Suwali, we've touched on him in the injury. Isaiah Tass, I don't think starts. Tedesco and Pappenhausen at fullback, cool. So for me, the big changes I would make here, move Schuster out because he's obviously injured for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Downgrade to someone like a Sexton if you wanted to go cheap. Hell, even downgrade to someone like a Tal Talmone, and you free up a lot of funds here to fix up this Lindsay Collins situation. But there's a fair bit of cash in this side. How many reliable bench options do we have? Pappenhausen, Piera, Hastings, Ilias, Lukey. You only got 5 and Grant. So you've got 5 bench options, or 6 bench options, and you got to pick 4. So I'd probably try and get one better bench option with the money that you save from fixing up Schuster. Where have I gone cheap? Lovely stuff, mate. What's the side with the... I mean, all right, so I'm going to quickly address this. Don't look at predicted scores. Predicted scores mean sweet FA. I can make a side that would beat any side with predicted scores. You put Tedesco, you put what's his name, Travojevic in, you captain him, you put Cleary in, you put Isaiah Papali'i in, you put Harry Grant in, you put Brandon Smith in, and then you stack the side with cheapies. Don't look at projected scores because all projected scores does is go off last year's averages. Means nothing. So I'm seeing all these posts about people flexing their projected scores. It means nothing. So don't even post your projected scores in here because quite frankly, I do not care. I have used also Curran. Interesting on Curran. I'm off Curran personally. I just feel his numbers are unsustainable. And if he plays lock, I know he's going to rotate through the back row or whatever, but I'm less keen on Curran than a lot of people are. Is Stags a must-have? Not a must, but I think he's going to outperform the price that he has, and he'll make you some money. Lukey or Cotter, I would go Lukey. Corey Thompson, I don't know what that means. How do you feel about trading Fafita for Crichton? No, I'd be keeping Fafita personally. Yeah, this is a good side. I like this. As stupid as it sounds, I think Turbo's pretty much a lock. Yes, he's expensive. He averaged 35 points more than anyone else last year. I don't get him round 1. You won't be able to get him at all. I think the game comes back. I don't think we see these high ceilings personally. I think teams now adjusting to these rules. They've had a full preseason to train and be fitter. Also, the subtle rule changes that the NRL have made, I think we're going to see less of these monster scores. And therefore, I feel like Cleary, I feel like Tedesco, having a mind blank. I feel like Travojevic is very, very overpriced, potentially 30 points overpriced. So, yeah, it could come down. Also, his draw for the first 3 weeks is not ideal, and he'll probably lose a fair bit of cash. After that, yeah, it opens up huge. Gus to score close to Fafita for 100k less. Fully fit, no. I think Fafita is still by far and away the clear-cut 2RF. And Crichton will be 2, but is the price difference, is the points difference worth it? I'd go Haas down to AFB and then go for Crichton up to Fafita if you could, personally. Hi, I love the vids, bro. Thank you very much, Harris. I appreciate that. You don't know what you're talking about, mate. Go to bed. If that's about me, cool, whatever. Looks like you're all arguing amongst yourselves tonight. Everyone's in a feisty mood. Thoughts on trading Munster to Hastings and Ricky to Fafita? Depends what your other second rows are, man. It's kind of hard to judge what your second rows are. If you've got something like a Crichton, no, I'd probably keep Munster. That's just me personally. Yeah, I'll get to your question, Dylan. Don't need to ask it multiple times. Yeah, so Damon makes a good point. Projected scores mean nothing. They do. They mean sweet FA. So if you want to go build a side with the best projected, include all the guys that went well last year. Put Garrick in, put Toto in, put Turbo in, put Cleary in, and then captain Turbo, and it'll say that he's going to score 300 points in round 1, which we all know isn't going to happen. So if you want to go make your sides built off projected scores, knock yourselves out. Is it good to see the girls sending in their team? Yeah, it is good to see. It's good to see, girls playing SuperCoach because it's quite a dominated male sport. So, yeah, really good to see some of the chicks get in and compete in SuperCoach. I know that Top Sport are sponsoring an all-girls SuperCoach comp this year, which is awesome to see. I'm really, really keen about that. Try and just expand. That's my biggest goal, is just to make SuperCoach more popular because The more people play, the better. The better it is for everyone. Nikorima in for me, for Matto, what you said, and Ara in for me as the third front rower. What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm keen on Nikorima. I don't know if I'm running myself, but I'm definitely keen after what I saw in the All-Stars game. Take what you want from an All-Stars game, but he got through work, and that can't be denied. I think his stats for the All-Star game were pretty incredible. I think he averaged 70, he scored 70 points or something without any attack. So Nikorima could be a really good sneaky thing. Yeah, all good, Dylan. I sort of scroll through the chat and read out what's going on. Tino or Fanil Blake? More keen on Fanil Blake personally. Team 3 comes from Shazza04. Chris Randall, Harry Grant up top, no surprise. First side we've seen with Paul Vaughan. Big, short as Vaughan. And you've gone 3 front row forward options, which is different as well. So, Paul Vaughan, obviously his first year back in a new club at the Bulldogs after Barbecue Gate at the Dragons. So, I think he's got a point to prove. I think there's a chip on Paul Vaughan's shoulder. I really like him for 482k. With the talk that Jack Hetherington's going to be playing edge to start the season until Raymond Faitala-Mariner comes back. Less middlemen that are going to come through and take minutes from Vaughnie. So I really do like Paul Vaughan. Is that music too loud as well? By the way, I can hear it quite loud in my headphones. So let us know. And Stefano off the bench with Aaron Penne. Probably drop Aaron Penne down to Max King, and you can throw up some cash there. You're going for Feeder, Crichton, Pangai. You've gone big in the 2RF. That's a monster 2RF. And then you've gone Radley there as well. So Radley lost his hooker status, which ain't ideal. It'd be much more handy if he was available at hooker as well. But something to note, Tepe Maroa and Brendan Piacora, we've touched on them. Toby Sexton, Blake Taff. So Brew and I have the South Sydney podcast coming out on Friday. We just recorded that one today. And we touched on the Taff Ilya situation. I'm against it because, like, realistically, chat, like, how well do we see Taff going? He has one good game against the Broncos, which a game they could lose. Like, let's not be naive and think that the Broncos are a walkover at Suncorp with all their new acquisitions, Adam Reynolds and his new club against South Sydney, who, without the Trell, Ken Murray coming back off the shoulder reconstruction. Like, best case, I think Taff scores 60 points against the Broncos, and then he has Melbourne and Penrith. And then he has the Roosters. Like, realistically, what kind of output is Taff going to have? And he's going to play 14 and going to come on for, 20 minutes and score you 10 points? Like, I don't know. I don't really like the Taff move. I'd just go one. I'd just go Ilias, to be honest. I really don't like this Taff move, personally. Luke Keary as well. I mean, we've touched on Keary and his injury, but I like pairing him up with someone as solid as Sexton. Kurt Mann, I like. If he can play a Connor Watson role, if he can play 55, 60 minutes off the bench, awesome. He'll score us 60 points a game. Kurt Mann's got a really good work rate. So definitely one to watch out there. Hamiso didn't get to shine too well in the All-Star game. Wasn't really involved enough. We're taking a punt on a fullback from a Cowboys side who is poor. Like, the Cowboys are not good this year. And 420k for an unknown. I don't like Hamiso this year, to be honest. I don't know a lot of people do. I'm a little bit cold on him. I do like Tal Talmone, and I do like Will Penasini. Isaac Tago, Suwali's injured, William Key is in my side. This is where I think you've stacked your pack too hard because you've stuck with Xavier Savage. Now, you're stuck with a nailed-on fullback in Pap, and then you're 500k short going another gun. I'd be looking at moving Radley down to someone like, I don't even know, someone cheap, Max King, and then don't go Stefano. Maybe go Haas to AFB, and then, or even Haas to Bullimore. Move Stefano to start, Radley to Tepe Maroa, and that might get you enough cash to go Savage to even a Jaden Campbell. I just feel you've got to run two good options, and Jaden Campbell is the lowest one that I would be looking at. So for me, Savage is a no-go. Not in SuperCoach. If you play NRL Fantasy, which I'm doing this year and doing more research on, Savage is awesome for NRL Fantasy, but for SuperCoach, it's absolutely no. Absolutely not. You've got to go two big guns here, and I feel like you've shot yourself in the foot by going big in your pack with 3 pretty good front row options. 3 really good back row options and then 1 sort of mid-ranger. I think you've spent a little bit too heavy in your pack here, and the side has become quite unbalanced personally. Music is chill. Sup, Whisperer. Say hi to my cat. So I feel like this side is quite unbalanced personally. You've got to fix up that forward pack. It's too big. High 40s for Taff. I think high 40s for Taff on his best day personally. More value in stashing Mem. Yeah, I agree. Is Cody Nikorima playing? No one's talking. So I've got a fair few messages to read Cody Nikorima. I'm gonna have to have a look at him. In fact, why don't we look at him now? Because I do have the SuperCoach Stats website up ready. So let's look at Cody Nikorima playing, because he tailed off last year big time. So last year was his best year when it comes to averages, 54. But it's that like that you take out that, he averaged really well. So let me pull up some calculations and I'll be able to tell you what he averaged without these bench games. So he scored 1,130 points. And let's take out his bench games where he scored 20. He scored 36. He scored 28. He scored 10. And he scored 3. So that leaves him with an overall of 1,033 points for Cody Nikorima. And that was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take off 5. 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Divide that. His average is closer to 64.5. So you take out the bench games, he loses 10 points of value. The Warriors have a really good start to the year. My worry is that SJ takes a lot of touches off him. When it was just him, he got full roost of the ball. Oh, you didn't see any of that. I apologize. All right, let's go back to... For some reason, you can't see that. Let me... Window capture. Cool. Now you guys can see it. Cool. Apologies for that. So, Cody Nikorima, so on the surface, sorry, you were just looking at nothing. My apologies, guys. So he averaged 55 last year. And as I was saying, you take out these games at the back end of the year, like the games off the bench, that average is closer to 65. So there's 10 points of value, which is awesome. That's 10 points of value is what we want to see. My biggest concern is the SJ factor and SJ taking touches off him. Because when it was him and Chanel Harris-Tavita, he got full roost to the side, full kicking duties, everything. And before Reece Walsh came in, I'm pretty sure he was kicking some goals as well. SJ's back. SJ's the number 1 playmaker. No two ways about it. I don't think there's enough value there. Long term, I don't think there's enough value. For the first 5 weeks, there could be. But do we really want to be punting trades after 5 weeks? Do we want to be booking ourselves in to make these trades when injuries can happen, COVID can happen, cheapies come up? I know why people are keen on Nikorima. I'm just not sure there's enough value there. But it's definitely something to worth note. So, at your own risk, take a punt on Cody. But yeah, I'd be giving it not a miss, but maybe give it a week or two, looking at how how the Warriors ball play between their 1, 6, and 7. Who's going to be the 9? Is it going to be Chanel Harris-Tavita? Will it be Wade Egan? Will it be Cody? Will Cody play 9? Like, we don't know. So, probably give it a wait and see. What are you guys saying? This team is very old school SC. Too much money in the pack. Yeah, I feel so. Will Big Shaq be added to your team when he gets added to the game because he's the GOAT? No, look, I'm really happy for Shaquille. Really good story about Shaquille Mitchell. So, really cool to see him play some footy on the weekend in the highest level. But for me, no. 14 jersey for Cody without a doubt. CHC is the future of the club. Nico is out of favour with Brownie. That is worth noting because he did come off the bench last year. I also think Ash Taylor is being slept on when it comes to this conversation. People can laugh at Ash Taylor all they want, but Ash Taylor's a good footballer. Ash Taylor was just on too much money. It's not his fault. I mean, if you're going to offer me $1 million to play footy, I'm going to take it. Not Ash Taylor's fault. I really like the pairing between him and SJ, or even Chanel Harris-Tavita and SJ. Yeah, you're all saying the same thing. Brand more of a concern than SJ. which is totally cool. I've got Tamalolo and typing. I know broken hand. Tupanua. Jaden, stop asking the same question. Yeah, don't spam the chat, guys. Is Sloan a genuine option? I think he go really well. I think he's overpriced. I think he's 100k overpriced. You're paying for him off the back of, what is it? Let's pull up some more stats because I know you guys love that. So let's have a look at Sloan last year. He's got all the talent in the world, Sloan, and the coach rates him very highly. But you're paying for these two scores. You're paying for these two scores against two bad sides. South's rested half their squad, and the Cowboys suck. He played the Raiders, scored 35. Played Manly, scored 55. Played South, scored 43. You're paying a lot for 2 games, and I feel like he's just overpriced. Like, you're paying 400 and something K for 2 games. In a Dragons side, we don't know what's going to happen. The reason why I like Amon is because he's less than 300k. But Sloan is just too expensive for me personally. I'd be giving him a miss. Yeah, it's just way too expensive for a 2-game sample size. Nikorima or Satili, same average, same price. I know you're keen on both. I'm not really keen on Satili, to be honest. I meant actually, I know a lot of people don't actually follow my Instagram. They follow just the YouTube, which is totally cool. But I did make a post on Satili yesterday or the day before. So the impressive thing was he averaged nearly 70 points in the first 19 rounds, and then it dropped off a cliff. Put that down to whatever you want. Put it down to him being moved out in the centers. Put it being down to injuries happening and him losing it. I want to see where Kiri lines up. If Kiri lines up on the left, Tupanura, no. Crichton, big time. He's just the perfect case of, like, upside is cool, but you still need some work rate. Like, that base power of 47 is poor. 47 base power? I mean, most second rows are averaging 47 just in base. So, for me, I'd be giving Tupanura a miss personally. I think 8% is probably a touch too high, and people are hoping he can replicate the same form that the Roosters put on the first 2 rounds with Kiri back in the side. So, I would be giving him a miss personally. Let's look at Team 4, round 4, Team 4. So, this is the first side that we've seen with basically no Randall, no Grant today. We've gone Cotter up top. If Cotter gets to start, I can understand it. I just worry that if Damien Cook pops off, Reid Marnie pops off, Harry Grant pops off, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to get to them? Like, how are you going to find the money to move up? That's the big thing for me in going 2 cheap hookers. Payne Haas, Stefano Utoikamanu, and Ethan Bullimore with George Burgess. Don't hate that front row. If Bullimore can get a start while Josh Alloway is out, could make a little bit of cash. I've said my piece on Bullimore. I feel he's 100k overpriced. But that's just me. David Fafita, Angus Crichton, Cameron McInnes. Cameron McInnes is a guy that I'm going to be fading pretty hard. Interesting quote coming out of Cronulla today. More Instagram cam for you guys. Read that. Make of it what you will. Cam McInnes is working well with his knee, but we know these are serious injuries and it takes a while to hit your straps fully. And this was Craig Fitzgibbon on the Talking the League podcast. Craig was pretty open and honest about Cameron McInnes' injury and how the ACL is a pretty crucial one to come back from. I'm reading into that he's going to be but rotated pretty heavily, maybe 60 minutes max for the first month. And if that's the case, Cameron McInnes doesn't offer enough upside for me playing 60 minutes to really be overly worth it. So I'd be giving him a miss personally. Jackson Hastings and Lachlan Ilias with Jerome Luai and Dylan Brown. Now, I'm a big fan of Dylan Brown this year. I think he's one of the better Eels assets to own. I think he could go back to his 65 average in his rookie season and really make some good coin for owners. I think there's enough value there if he can find the attack, and he links up well. Like, if he's not shifting sides, which is what Brad Arthur was doing a little bit last year. Tony Staggs, Kurt Mann, Isaac Tago, Will Panasini. I like the centre wing pairing a lot. Joseph Swallow, you know, has to come out. Burbo and William Key. You're going to have to get some players there. If William Key starts, awesome. I don't think Burbo will. And probably not. I don't think this is the year to start with Nuffs personally. I think we're going to need as much depth as possible. So I would be moving him on if he doesn't start, and then Pappenhausen and Sesko at fullback. I like this team, apart from a couple of changes that I would make. And obviously, someone like McInnes, and then probably Bullimore I'm not overly keen on. I'd try and find some cash and get Cotter up to one of the 3 premiums. Does Ash Taylor get a spot with CA? That's the thing. Like, I think Ash Taylor deserves a spot. But yeah, it's a case of whether Brownie's going to pick him. Sloan's a good pickup mid-season with his dollars. Yeah, exactly. I'll own Sloan when the Dragons draw levels out, and I'll own Sloan when his price bottoms out. But for round one, it's just too much money to be paying for 2 games. Less pressure on Ash with SJ there now. Ash can play his game without being the head playmaker. Yeah, and that's why I think Ash. We haven't seen the best of Ash Taylor at all. We have not seen the best of him whatsoever. So I'm definitely keen on Ash Taylor this year. Hopefully he starts. I won't be starting him with SuperCoach. I'm just really keen to watch him from a footy perspective, and I think he'll do good things. Thoughts on Grant to Cook with the new coach of the Bunnies that will allow Cook to run? Brew and I actually got into a little bit of a heated debate on the podcast, in the South podcast that I said will be coming out on Friday. So I definitely think tune in for that one. Listen to our thoughts on the Cook versus Grant debate. But yeah, is Connor Watson a good option? No, I don't think he is, unfortunately. I just think this is what he is. He'll score us 60 points off the bench, no more. I think Connor Watson has hit his ceiling. He's priced himself out of a move. Last team we're going to look at today, ladies and gentlemen. This one comes from Jesse Shepherd, running with the very common Randall Grant up top with Lindsay Collins, Stefano. So 2 mid-range front row forwards. I'd look to move Collins on for Paul Vaughan if we're going to go in this price bracket. Tepe Moroa for a 1-week play when Grant comes back, and then Munster as well, which we'll look at too, which is tasty. Fafita, Crichton, Aitken, Tago, Kane Bradley, a little bit of an awkward price. I'd love to know the thoughts, Jesse, if you're in the stream, as to why we picked Kane Bradley. Are you a Cowboys fan that has some intel that you want to share to me? I probably think someone like a Brendan Elliott would be higher on the food chain than Kane Bradley. And then Braden Pierre-Cora. Sean Johnson, Lachlan Ilias, Jackson Hastings, Cameron Munster. I posted today that I'm actually looking at running Grant, Munster, Pappenhausen. I feel like that combination could get you off to a flyer if they come back and start humming round 2. Munster playing for a contract. He looks really fit, really lean. I'm really keen to see what Munster can do this year, so I don't hate the idea of tripling up on the Melbourne Big 3. It's going to make life so much easier with trades, so I'm starting to warm to that a little bit as well. Stephen Crichton, not so keen on. I'd rather spend the money and try and go up to a Joey Manu. If you're looking for that strike centre, or I'd try and drop down a bit in cash and free it up. Who do you have? There's no... Only you got Tago in the 2RF. I'd probably look at moving Crichton down a little bit. Oliver Gildhart, Joseph Sawali, Jordan Piera, Will Penasini, Ben Travojevic with the gun fullbacks. So there's a couple of things I'd change in this side. More so just some of the cheaper options. I feel like there's some better cheapies out there that you could probably pick up that would strengthen this squad. But I really do like the Grant, Munster, and Pappenhausen combinations. What do we think of this team? Do you guys like the Melbourne triple threat? Or is Grant and Pappenhausen enough? Because, yeah, I think there's definitely some merit in taking Munster. I'm starting to warm on it a little bit too. Let us know what you think of this side. Wrong slide. There we go. This is a good team. Taking a few risks, but I actually reckon we need some diversity. Old school, going two hookers. Thoughts on Grant to Cook. Thoughts on Cam McInnes or Arrow. Mate, I just gave my thoughts on Cam McInnes. I'm not overly keen on him. Let's put him there for now until TNT. Bradley is what I'm referring to. Cool. Fair enough. That's totally understandable. Cool. Do you guys have any questions for me before I see you guys back on Thursday? Because we have been going for 43 minutes. All the teams have been done for today. But I'm more than happy to sit here for 5 minutes answering some questions when it comes to, SuperCoach, because I haven't actually spoken to you guys for about a week. It's been, a little bit longer than that with COVID. It's been a little bit over a week, so. I have Hughes, Grant, and Pappy. Can we see your team if it's been updated? I mean, at the moment, I've got like a... What is my team? This is what it was last time. What are the changes I would make? This is my side. Like, there's still a fair bit of money in the bank. I'm going to go Kiri out. Like, this isn't my team. This is just what we had from last time. But Kiri is out. I've taken him out. I'm going to try... I don't know really who to go with my halfback spot, to be honest. Halfback's weird, because I was looking at Hines, but I don't want to spend that much. I don't really want to go DCE with Manly's draw. I could go Hughes. Maybe I'll just go cheap. I don't know. But I'm not really looking at this. This is my side from a couple weeks ago, so no real point looking at it. When I get my team sorted properly, I'll show it to you. But for now, I mean, it's rough. So thoughts on Lawton game time with Schuster? Yeah, I think Schuster start. I think Lawton starts. He could be handy for 6 weeks, depending on how much. Yeah, I would love to have one gun center wing pod. Ramian is my fave option at the moment. Thoughts? Ramian doesn't have the attacking upside to be a gun center wing. Like, he doesn't possess the tons in here. Like, let's have a look. We'll fill in some time while I've got you guys here. So Jesse Ramian last year, 1 ton, 1 score over 90, 1 score over 80. I don't think he has the upside. I don't think Jesse Ramian has the upside to warrant it. He's no Garrick. He's no Toto. He's no AJ. He only had 5 tries last year as well. Like 5 tries in, 17 games? He's solid, but like games over 60, 50, 53% of the time, his consistency rating was 37%. Like, he's just a base stat guy. Like 33 in base, 22 in evade, so 52 base power, 55 base power, sorry. 55 base power for an average of 63. There's no room there. There's no upside with Jesse Ramian. The more I'm looking at him, the less I'm actually pretty keen on, like the less I'm keen on him personally. Isn't benching Munster and Grant more money to miss round 1? Maybe move Cook to... SuperCoach is more than 1 round. This is what people are saying, why would you run Grant when he's suspended round 1? There is more than 1 round in SuperCoach. It's a long game. And with COVID and whatever, like, yeah, we get more trades, cool, but we're going to be using those trades to get the cheapies in. So, like, do you just settle for the guns that you've got? And, like, you pick Munster, you pick Grant, you pick Pap? Like, is that the way to go? Or are you guys, do you play the way that where, like, you just rotate your guns in and out? I'm warming to the idea of just, like, punting week 1. Because, like, realistically, how far are people going to get ahead of me in round 1? Maybe 100 points? Like, serious players? So maybe round 1 is a bit of a punt. I don't know. Or we'll look at that closer. Is SJ a better option than Kiri? Kiri hasn't played in so long. Yeah, I would say so, personally. Is Max King a spot holder or actually going to get game time? I think he gets game time. Do you go with Cleary if he starts from round 1? I've tried it. Actually, do you guys want to see my proper side right now? Because I haven't looked at it for 5 or 6 days and it has Cleary in it. Let me quickly check on my phone to make sure I'm not pulling up something awful. I'll try and find my actual proper side right now. I think it's got yeah, okay. So give me 2 seconds. I'll set the slides up so you can look at my team. All right. We've got it set up. Let make me smaller. All right. I haven't looked at this for a couple of days, and I was experimenting. With the idea of running Cleary potentially. So this is not my final team by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously got Randall Grant up top, with Fanua Blake, Arrow, George Burgess, Max King, Fafita, Aiken, Tamalolo, Firma, Jeremy Nanai, Brennan Piacore. And this is the first time that Cleary has entered my side, and I don't expect him to stay too long. I just wanted to really... I'll probably make this a bit bigger for you guys as well. Give me a sec. That might be better for you guys. Cool. So, yeah, I don't really think Cleary stays a whole lot longer. I don't know. I just wanted to put him in to see if I can make it work. And I don't think this side is that bad. I just don't particularly love having so much money tied up in one player. And if he's not fit for round 1, I'm definitely not starting with him. Like, I'll make that clear now. Like, I'm not starting with Clear if he's fit round 1. if he's not fit round 1. But that's my side, basically. Can you tell everyone to sub to Footy Block? I mean, you just did it yourself, man. Give yourself a shout out. People want to go sub to Footy Block. Go sub to Footy Block. Dropped Haas like I have for now. Don't promote stuff on other people's streams. Look, if you want to come on my stream, promote yourself, cool. It'll be the first and last time you do it. Footy Block. Do it again, and I will ban you. Don't like my centre wings. What's wrong with my centre wings, man? What's wrong with who do I have? What's wrong with Coates, Nikorima, Piera, and Panasini? Is it just because there's no guns there? Like, is that the reason why we don't like them? Or do you want me to have, like, better ones or what? This is the reason why I don't particularly love having Cleary on my side, because it takes up so much cash. Are you definitely running Hastings? I'm definitely running Hastings if he goal kicks. If he doesn't goal kick, yeah. What happened to the Coates bashing? I know. I'm the biggest Coates hater, but he's somehow managed to find his way into the side right now. I just want to preface, this is not my side. This is just a side that I played around with, trying to get Cleary in, and I don't know if I love it. How come you like Bo? What do you mean, how come I like Bo? Big Bo Firma, by the sounds of it. Kevin Proctor is on the outer. Bo Firma had some pretty good scores. I don't have my Instagram thing loaded up anymore, but I can read you out some of Bo Firma's stats. So, 2020... Bo Firma played 4 games starting in the back row, averaged 58.75 in 75.75 minutes. His scores were 76, 30, 72, 57, which was a 0.77 ppm. It was a 52 base power, which is better than someone like Satili Tupanua, better base and power. 2021, he played 8 games in the back row for a 58 average, 76 minutes a game, for only a 46 base and power. So he was a little bit more reliant on attack last year. But if he can play big minutes starting in the back row, then I'm definitely keen on Bo Firma. 300 and something K. Awesome. Thought you weren't keen on Coates. I'm not. He's just there. Is Neno a good option? I do. What are you backing? So Jackson Hastings is an interesting one. You know, really poor Roosters side back in 2016. He was a kid. Like, he was so young. He averaged 52. Like, are we crazy to say that he could average 60? More mature in a Tiger side that's probably the same. If he goal kicks, I definitely could think so. What's the story with Proctor then? I just think Justin Holbrook prefers youth. We see that when he gives the captaincy to Tino. For feeder, I mean, Toby Sexton, Jaden Campbell, AJ Brimson, like he's obviously keen to go youth and more quicker guys. Cleary has a high break even and will come down to a reasonable price, I hope. Do you think Hetherington would be better than Bo Firma? No. Surely Kurt Mann over Coates if Mann plays 13 and 9. I mean, this is the thing that I'm sort of leaning towards. I'm kind of wanting the next big ceiling player. So guys like Garrett come to mind, AJ come to mind. We've got to try and find them. And Coates could be that. I don't really want to rely on playing him week in, week out, but I definitely could feel like he could have runs where he goes on huge scores and could make some good cash, and then we flip him on. But yeah, this is not my side. Guys, this is not my side. It was just a side that I was playing around with Cleary in it because I wanted to see if I could do it. I haven't experimented with Cleary at all. Like, I literally haven't looked at Cleary one bit because the 950k is a lot of money. So I just experimented to see if we could get him in. And we can. I just don't particularly love this side. So, yeah. Would you risk it and go Nikorima? I think I'm the first person that has really gotten on the Nikorima bandwagon, but I do like Lolo more than him. Do we realistically think Cleary hits his break even early on if he starts? No, I don't. No, I don't, Martin. I think Cleary drops in price. But I just wanted to experiment with what I think his output could be. But, yeah. I am personally more keen on this side than the side that I just showed you. Like, I prefer this side over the one that I just had. And I know this doesn't have Cleary in it, but this is just a side that I much prefer. So if I go past not having Haas with Reynolds and a better team, here's one of my favourite. Can you explain to me why Reynolds makes Haas better? And I don't want to single you out here, Money, but tell me why Adam Reynolds makes Haas a better Supercoach option. I'm very curious. Hot or cold on Stags as my soul gun? I'm hot on Stags. Very hot. Yeah, I do think Kevin Nikorima gets a spot in the 13 with Joseph Swaley out. But yeah, Amani, tell me why you think that Adam Reynolds makes his props better because South Sydney props sucked. I'm going to kind of wrap it up. We're going close to an hour and kind of out of things to talk about. So yeah, we'll be back Thursday. I'm just waiting on a couple more questions to come in, and then we'll end the stream. All right, just makes the attack at the Broncos better. I mean, I feel like people don't watch these streams. Matt O'May moved to lock. Yeah, I touched on this at the start of the stream. I'm pretty much all over the SuperCoach news when it comes to this sort of stuff. Will I change my 2 nuff center wings so they don't get named? Of course I will. Of course. Like, they'll come out. I'm not nuffing anyone. If you start with Cleary, would it make sense to downgrade Grant to someone? Nah, I mean, I'm going to put Grant there. He's going to be set and forget for me. I just think the attack at the Broncos is better, and I think Haas will benefit. So Haas running through the middle will benefit an edge player sitting wider. I don't really understand that. Cook for Grant, subjective. But that's going to Dragons pack. What's George Burgess minutes, do you think? Not great. He's just there because he's 240k. And then you could move him on if he doesn't play big minutes. Like the Panthers last year, they had so many good SuperCoach players because they were a good team. Okay, what about the Rabbitohs, bro? Like, why wasn't the Rabbitohs pack amazing? Because if Adam Reynolds is his saviour like you think he is, like, why didn't South Sydney score so well? I don't really think it. Whisperer and Quieten, because if he gets back to the right centre spot, he should go back to 2020 form. I believe that will happen. I mean, his form in 2020 wasn't that great either. He scored like 20 tries and still in the average like mid-50s for SuperCoach. So, personally, not a huge SuperCoach output from him. What are my thoughts on Verrills? No, not at all. Not with Connor Watts on the bench. It's going to cut into his minutes big time. Left centre spot. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Jesse. I don't really think he... What did he do? I don't have the thing put up. But from memory, he didn't average that well. I think he averaged like 55 in his best year in the left centre spot. Will Ilias be good enough to have as a scoring half? No. I'd maybe play him for 1 week. I wouldn't be looking at moving him as a regular reserve. But that's going to wrap up all the questions. Bit of a weird one, but your thoughts on Clifford? Touched on him in the night's podcast out on the weekend. Not a fan at all. That's going to wrap it up for me today, guys. I will be back on Thursday. A lot of these questions that are getting asked, I've answered before. So, do people know Gutho pod for Parastart? No. That's going to be me done. Enjoy. Have a good one. Sayonara. Bye.